Look who's rounding out the top 10 right there. You like that? You got Mike Evans at number 6, Devontae Adams at number 7, Keenan Allen weighing in at number 8, Chris Godwin, number 9. That's 2 Tampa Bay guys in the top 10, and Amari Cooper rounding it out at number 10. So let's bring our guys back in. Jeremy Fowler. Dominique is back with us, as is Desmond Howard. And Jeremy, I got to start with you because Julio Jones, overwhelmingly number 1 for most of the people you talk to, as I understand it.
Yeah, Ryan, I went into this process thinking Michael Thomas would push Julio Jones for that number 1 spot. It didn't happen. Jones got more than half the first place votes. One NFL coordinator told me he's simply an avatar. There is no one like him. He can beat you in all 3 phases of the football field. Complete receiver. The only knock on him is he's 31 years old. Occasionally they rest him. He takes a few plays off. But everybody who voted, most people thought that he was just more of a threat than Michael Thomas downfield.
Wow, 31-year-old avatar. Any NFL team will take that. Des, do you agree with the assessment on Julio Jones by these executives?
I tell you what, Ryan, I mean, that's an elite group of receivers. So when you start to try to pick them apart, it's like splitting hairs. Now, my problem with Julio Jones is the past 3 seasons, he's dropped 17 passes, 17 balls on the ground. That ties him for first in the league in that category. And he hasn't had a 10-touchdown receiving season since 2012. He's going to catch a lot of balls for a lot of yards, but he's not getting into the end zone at the same clip of some of these other receivers. I think Michael Thomas should be number 1, and then I would put DeAndre Hopkins at number 2. And then I heard you guys talk about Jr. earlier. My only problem with Odell, who has all the tools in his toolbox, is I just don't think he's getting everything out of his talents every time I see him play.
Okay, and that's what some executives were echoing on this, that he's just not giving it all. But I want to go back to Julio. Dominique, do you think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL?
I do, and I mean, Des is right. We're splitting hairs. I think we would take any of these receivers at this point, but I think Julio is special because he is somewhat a combination of Michael Thomas with the deep threat ability of somebody like Tyreek Hill, and he's not quite as fast as Tyreek Hill, but we don't have to go back too far to think of the game when Julio Jones had 300 receiving yards. Like, that's a number that you look at for a quarterback for passing alone. Julio Jones had 300 yards in a game. That game alone puts him atop my list. He's a special player with a big body that can get away from people and break tackles. And I would say the touchdown droughts that he's gone through, like touchdowns is a little bit more dependent on luck, I would think, than the rest of the production that he gets. I think Michael Thomas is special, but I don't think that he compares to Julio Jones as far as his impact on the game.
So who would be your top 5, Dominique? What do you think?
Yeah. All right, I think I'll go Julio still at number 1. In a close second, I'll surprise you guys with Tyreek Hill. And maybe it's just a personal thing, but that speed, and Des, you know, that speed is intimidating, and his ability to get off the press is something special. He's almost 25 yards per reception when people press him in a league where the corners really like to get up close to those receivers, and he breaks defenses in that way. When you go into the film room, you're preparing for Tyreek Hill. I put DeAndre Hopkins next because no matter who you put on him, you double cover him, he's going to impact the offense because he catches everything. Then I put Beckham at 4. I know he had a bad year last year, but his first 3 years, as I said earlier in the show, are comparable to Randy Moss. He's somebody that you can build an entire offense around. And I put Michael Thomas at 5. I know that's low considering his production, but it all goes back to the big playability. And as a defensive back, and as a overall defensive coordinator, you're going to be concerned with the guy that can score a touchdown on one play more than you'll be concerned with the guy that's going to move the sticks on every 3rd down.
I guess I could see that because when I saw Michael Thomas at 5, I was like, what? But you make a great point there. Des, what do you think about his list?
I definitely would put Michael Thomas at number 1. I mean, Michael Thomas, he led the league in receptions, and he led the league in bags, too. He's the highest paid receiver, and that's because of his talent level and what he can do to a defense. I think he's number 1. DeAndre Hopkins, I just love his all-around game. He's number 2. At number 3, I think I will actually go Julio Jones. I'll take him from 1 to 3. Number 4 will be Tyreek Hill. Just like Dom said, listen, when you're lining up against Tyreek Hill, it's like you're lining up opposite a cheetah with a helmet on. I mean, he strikes fear in the hearts of defenders and defensive coordinators. So he has to be number 4. And then I would put Odell Beckham Jr. at number 5.
You know, it's just
I'll
like
add some context here too, guys.
Go ahead, but Jeremy, I want to come to you, but it's just like a DB and a wide receiver to be on different pages. What are you hearing about this context, and also about Tyreek Hill, because he kind of is all over the map on the list?
Right, because I want to go back to Dominique's point. When a lot of these people are voting, especially coaches and players, number one for them is who scares you most in the game plan when you're preparing for the week. How scared are you and fearful of the guy you have to face up against? And so I talked to a veteran NFL cornerback who said, Julio Jones and specifically Tyreek Hill are going to scare you a little bit more than, say, a Michael Thomas, despite his greatness. But you know he's going to catch 12 to 15 passes. He's going to get a lot of run in the slot, but he's not probably going to kill you for that 60-yard play like some of these other guys can.
It's interesting because I would think they would love that stability, that idea that I can rely on this guy no matter what, and he'll get me the catches I need no matter what, Jeremy.
That's more chances to make mistakes for your offense. A 15-play drive is one thing. A 3-play drive is much better for your offense. And on defense, I would love to have a nice long drive. You might kick a field goal. You might fumble a snap. Something might happen. I'm going to just try to keep Tyreek Hill in front of me, and hopefully I can tackle him.
All right.
Right,
well,
and the best young quarterbacks are the big play guys, Lamar, Mahomes. So you're counting on the receiver to make that connection, even if they're going to miss a few.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.